It is worldwide known that loud drumming is a key characteristic in African music. However, it is lesser known that they also cherished delicate sounds through their lamellophones for at least 3,000 years. It is said that the instrument was independently invented in two different places in Africa, one in the Central West region and the other in the South region. The first European documentation of this kind of instrument was made around 1570 by the Portuguese, but the kalimba-like instruments were already made with metal tines, so its construction was already refined. In other words, the era of the bamboo tines was already left behind. The word lamellophone comes from the Latin and Greek languages. While lamella is Latin for plate, phone is Greek for sound. There are over 100 kinds of traditional African lamellophones, each with its own tuning, note layout, and most of them with their own name. The mbira is one of the most advanced and well-known type of African lamellophone, and its creation is credited to the Shona people of Zimbabwe. They give a religious meaning to the instrument where its sounds guide the spiritual pathway of loved ones. The instruments arrived in South America through the slave routes. In Brazil, the instrument was introduced by African slaves in the 18th century, but it did not persist in our culture, and disappeared by the end of the 19th century. The instrument was similarly introduced to other parts of the world. The popularization of the mbira is often credited to an Englishman named Hugh Tracy, who fell in love with the instrument and started recording it in 1929 in Rhodesia, Africa. He also learned how to play the various kinds of lamellophones and documented their tunings and note layouts. Most of his recordings were made in 1952 and 1957. In 1954, Hugh Tracy founded the International Library of African Music to archive the thousands of hours of recordings he had taken. Shortly after, he founded the African Musical Instruments (AMI) and started making high-quality kalimbas. The kalimba, or as it is also called the thumb piano, is a modern take on the African kalimba-like lamellophones, and as introduced by Hugh, it is hollow and has 17 keys with an alternating note layout. Within a few years after the creation of AMI, as you can probably guess, dozens of kalimba makers sprung up around the world. It is needless to say that the instrument was thoroughly changed throughout the years to fit people's cultures. Nowadays, I'd say the Chinese are responsible for keeping the kalimba's legacy alive, since it is affordable for most people to buy the instrument from their websites. It is also a matter of ease of importation of goods. Since the Chinese commonly export their goods worldwide and many countries don't have a national production, it is easier to buy from Chinese manufacturers. The Chinese people were also responsible for the modification of the Hugh Tracy version, introducing variants such as 20-key seeds kalimba and most likely the 21 keys as well, which are two of the more common variants. Modifications to the body of the kalimba were also extensively made, and here you can mention the acrylic kalimbas. Some well-known Chinese brands include April Young's, Luru, Lingting, Gecko, Sega, and Seeds. There is also an extensive market of unbranded Chinese kalimbas. Some of the woods used to craft the body of the kalimba include walnut, acacia, maple, mahogany, rosewood, and paddock wood. The prices range accordingly to the value of the chosen wood. The kalimba is usually tuned to the C major scale, but you can often find them tuned in B major. It is worth to mention that you can easily change the tune of your conventional C major kalimba using tables like this one, but if you have engraved tines, their identifications will no longer portray direction notes. Keep that in mind. To solve this issue, you can identify them in another way, such as using custom stickers. This is probably why some people don't like the engravements. The sweet sounds produced by the kalimba is often credited to relaxed listeners, and we can easily find these statements in various YouTube kalimba cover videos. What I love about this instrument is its simplicity, versatility, and portability. In conclusion, we need to thank Africa for bringing this instrument to life, as well as the kalimba makers around the world.